Welcome back to part 6. We are going to be working rows 51 and 52 to start, and they're both worked in the same way. So we start with an increased square, and then we'll make chain squares across the side up to the magic square. So for the chain square, we chain 6, slip stitch into the next chain space, and repeat. So after we've worked those chain squares up the side, my last one, I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain 3 space of the magic square, chain 3, double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, chain 3, slip stitch back into that next chain 3 space, ready to work our chain squares again. So chain 6, slip stitch in the next space, chain 6. You can repeat that all the way down the side, ending with a basic square. Okay, so just a reminder, I'm working short rows for the purpose of the video. You will of course work this down the entire side, but ending with the basic square. And then we'll repeat this round once more. Start with an increased square, chain square up, do your magic square, chain square back down, end with a basic square. And I'll meet you back here for row 53. Row 53, we start with our increased square. Then we're going to alternate between a chain square and a cluster square. So we'll start with the chain square, chain 6. Then for the cluster square, we will slip stitch into that next chain space. Then we're going to make a cluster stitch at this slip stitch from last round into that space of the previous round. So we're going to chain 3 first, yarn over and into that space around that slip stitch. We'll insert hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, leaving 2 loops on the hook. We'll repeat that 4 more times, yarn over, into that space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on our hook. Four loops, 5 loops, 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 2. Then we'll continue on, we'll slip stitch in this next space and make a chain square. So we chain 6, and then a cluster square. Do slip stitch in this space, chain 3, then work the 5 double crochet cluster around that slip stitch into the space below. Pull through all 6 loops, chain 2. So we'll just continue to alternate these chain squares and cluster squares. Down the side, you'll want to end with a chain square just before making our magic square. So I've worked my way up this first side, have a cluster stitch and a chain square before I worked my magic square. Now we're ready to head down the next side, and we'll start with a chain square. So chain 6, slip stitch into the next space. Then we'll work our cluster square, so chain 3, work that 5 double crochet cluster around the slip stitch into that space below. Chain 2, I'm ready to repeat. Chain square, cluster square. And you'll end this row with a chain square before the final basic square. Row 54, we then start with our increase square. We will be making chain squares all the way up the side. I'll just show you the placement, how we work that over the cluster stitch. So after our increase square, we will chain 6, slip stitch in that next chain space, chain 6, and then we will work the slip stitch into the head or the top of that cluster stitch. Chain 6. Slip stitch in the next chain space. Chain 6. Slip stitch in the top of that cluster stitch. Chain 6. And you'll continue that up the side, work your magic square in the center, and then work those chain squares all the way down the next side, ending with a basic square. Then to finish off this part, we will make 2 more rows of the chain squares. So starting each with an increased square, working chain square up the side, magic square in the middle, chain square down, ending each row with a basic square. So that will be rows 55 and 56 to finish off this part. So we'll see you back here next week to finish our shawl for part 7.